and welcome to another edition of the Reviewing Network Live. This is another preview post for what I'm going to be doing coming up in the fall. And I was actually going to wait till Sunday to do this, but I was trying to still figure out what I wanted to do for this particular preview that we're going to get into now. There's a couple things I had in mind, but then this story broke today, and I figured, you know what? This would be the perfect thing to talk about on here, because I actually got a chance to see the outside of this thing that we're going to be dealing with here. I never got a chance to go inside the building, but you could if you know what I'm talking about, you probably know why. And today it was announced that Disney is officially shutting down the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience, the hotel that's in Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is literally right across from Hollywood Studios, in the back of the Galaxy's Edge area. Now, if you've heard about this place, this place has been open now for almost over 2 years now, and it was revealed today they were going to shut it down. They're going to close it down in September. The statement basically came out and saying, Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is one of our most creative projects ever. It's been praised by guests and recognized for setting a new bar of innovation and immersive entertainment. This premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and we prepare for its final voyage. We will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. And if you've seen the videos of this, or if you've actually been to this place, you can definitely see what they're talking about, because really, this place is pretty amazing. From the video that I've seen for this place online, this is a really cool, immersive, different kind of experience. It's a really cool area that makes it feel like you're in the world of Star Wars, which is pretty much what they wanted to do all along. And it definitely shows here, like the time and effort that you see in this, from the way it's designed, the way the people interact with it, the guests, like the way everything is set up. Like, it's really, you could see where all the money went to for this. Like, it's not a bad idea to do this particular thing at all. In fact, quite honestly, it's amazing that this thing was able to be put together the way as it is. But as we're going to talk about in this particular video here, we're going to talk about some of the things that kind of led to the eventual downfall of this building, because when you really look, on paper it looks fantastic. It actually looks fantastic too, but when you really think about everything that went with this, I'm going to split this up into 4 specific reasons why I feel like the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser failed to really take off, and it's going to be closing down almost over 2 years after it's been open. So let's start off with the first thing that went wrong right away, and I'm going to start off by talking about the first thing I'm going to bring up is this. The first reason I think it failed is because it's a very niche type of experience. Like, it's not specifically for a specific fan overall, but for like the family going experience. From the videos that I've seen from this, it's a really cool experience, like I said before, but when you really look at some of these videos online, you start to notice that more than likely, the older you are and the more of a Star Wars fan you really are, you'll really get to experience this nicely. But when it comes to the kids, though, it really does look like that it was very specifically tailored for someone like maybe 5 years old or up. If you're under 5 years old, you kind of really don't have a whole lot to do here. Most of my information that I'm getting, most of my ideas from this are coming from the videos I've watched from TheTimTracker when he went to Star Wars Galaxy Starcruiser with his family, and of course his son Jackson was, I believe, maybe 2-3 months old, 2-3 years old, I should say, when the place opened up and they went down there. And I thought, and he brings up some very good points about some of the things that they were able to do and not able to do together, and I think that's one of the things that kind of was starting to show why this really wasn't going to work out as well as they thought they would. Because, you know, as they talk about kids, really, kids under 5 years old, yeah, you could show them a lot of stuff to do, but when you're there for a long period of time, they get pretty tired pretty quickly. And like, kids under 5 years old, they want to nap, they want to take a rest and all that. In this place, you don't really get that chance to do that. Like, you don't really get a chance to take a break all that much. And sometimes like the big stuff happens after those kids are usually supposed to go to bed and all that type of stuff. And they really explain it, and TimTracker really explains it well in the end of these 2 videos that he did when they first went the first time around. I wish I could, and I'm going to show some of that here in just a little bit to kind of explain it a little bit more. But really, listen in, and you can probably see why. For little kids, this probably wouldn't be really that great of an experience overall.
Really, there's so much to do on the Starcruiser. I'm excited for tomorrow at Batuu to see like what else we can do, like how far the story goes. I do have to say though, I don't think that the Starcruiser is good for real little kids. The kids that are out here that are like 5, 6, 7, having a blast. Talking to all the characters, chasing Chewbacca around, trying to like protect him. They're having so much fun. But I think it's a little bit too advanced for Jackson. Like he doesn't understand like I have to go and help these people. He just wants to he liked the dancing. That was fun for him. I think he's gonna he has like an introduction to lightsabers. Like he doesn't get to do like what I did tonight with lightsaber training, but he gets to learn how to hold a lightsaber and see it. And I think he's really gonna like that. He knows Batuu. So I think he's going to have fun on Batuu when we go tomorrow. But then for the rest of the day, I don't think that the storyline is really for kids his age. He won't know how to help Sammy, and he's not fast enough to run around and help Chewbacca out. So, I don't know, I think that there has to be a specific age where your kids need to be able to be part of the story in order for it to be worth it to bring them to the Starcruiser. My biggest takeaway is from everybody that I've talked to here, there hasn't been a single person that has said, I didn't like this. This was not worth the money that I paid for it. Every single person that is here has said that they've enjoyed themselves immensely, and it was above and beyond anything that they'd ever imagined, and they would do it again in a heartbeat. But I will say, our experience, me, Jen, and Jackson, was completely different across all 3 of us. So, because we weren't able to get Lynn a room, because we had already booked this experience long before she came on board, we had to split up. Jen and I had to split up. So, Jackson is still at a napping age. Everything that we did on the first day, he was worn out because we skipped a nap because there was so much stuff going on. We're let's see what we can do. And all of the big experiences didn't start until after dinner, and basically after dinner, that's it. That's the end of the day for him. So he didn't get to see any of the characters. He didn't get to get introduced to any of the characters. He didn't get the full experience. And because Jen had to take him back to the room, Jen didn't get the full experience. So it was just me. I was the only one out of all 3 of us that got the full experience. So I don't think that this Starcruiser is worth it for families that have a napping child, a person that's still napping in the middle of the day, and a kid that can't stay up a little bit later. So these are long days. Today, my experience was from 8 a.m., 8:30, I think was the earliest thing that we had, till now it's 11 o'clock at night. Everything didn't end until 10 o'clock. So that's a long day, and it was all packed. There wasn't really much downtime. There was a little bit here and there, lunch, stuff like that. But for the most part, it was a packed, long day of just experience after experience after experience.
Yeah, I mean, basically, all the stuff, all the cool stuff, the way you get to interact with the people that work there who play these characters, you don't really get that full sense of investment unless you're maybe a little bit older. You see in these videos, there are kids there, but these are kids that are in their, above 6 and above. You see kids that look like they're in high school or preschool, or a mix of preschool and high school, and again, most of the adults. But I think that's really one of the things that kind of struck me right away of why this didn't really work out so well, because this is supposed to be an all-immersive family experience, but when you're a little kid, you really you want to do all this stuff, but you also get tired out pretty quickly. At least when you're in a theme park, you have a lot of time to go on the rides and take some rest. But here, it feels like there's not really a whole lot there for those little kids to really do everything and then take a little break from it. And I know they want to be all hawked up and go on to interact with all these adventures going on, but at the same time, it really becomes a factor when you have kids that small, and they end up going to bed before a lot of the really cool stuff happens here, because a lot of the cool stuff happens around after dinner time. Like, the story moves along, and if you're in bed the whole time, you really miss out on obviously you miss out on a lot of the fun stuff here. And I think that definitely shows part of the reason why it was a very niche thing. I felt like this is, when you look at this, it feels like if you're above the age of 6 or over, you definitely would appreciate this more. But then again, that also leads into the next reason why I think Galactic Starcruiser didn't really pan out all that well. And that second reason is that it's branded for a specific audience. When I see this, I think to myself, if you are really, really into Star Wars, like you are an ultimate Star Wars fan, this is definitely for you. Like I like Star Wars. I really do like Star Wars. In fact, I'm one of the few people that fully acknowledges that. Actually, I'm probably the only person that probably would ever say this, but Star Wars has been better under Disney. I've been saying this for years now, and I still stick by it. I mean, there's been more good stuff coming out of Star Wars since they got purchased by Disney than there has been bad stuff. Yeah, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, really good movies. Rise of Skywalker, it's not a great film. It's a bad movie, but it's mostly because of the online trolls that ruined it after The Last Jedi. Like, I felt like that movie felt like Disney was stuck for figuring out how to appease everybody, and what we got was a really disappointing film out of that. But you know what? I'd still take those movies over the prequels any day. Like, the prequels, it's interesting because the first two prequels movies were not that great, and then Revenge of the Sith is the best one of the series. And then you have the opposite here: Force Awakens, Last Jedi, great films. Rise of the Skywalker, not so much. The spin-offs are very good. Rogue One, Solo, the Disney Plus shows are very good too. The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's a lot of good stuff coming out of Star Wars since they've been under Disney. And I feel like with this right here, there is a lot to admire here if you're a huge Star Wars fan. If you're not a huge Star Wars fan and you're coming into this relatively with the knowledge that you know what it is, that you know what you're going to expect from here, even if you're not the biggest Star Wars person, I feel like you're going to be a little bit disappointed by it, because you don't really have a real good idea of what the world you're entering is, like most hardcore Star Wars fans would. And I think that was it kind of goes back to what I had before. A very niche group of people can really come into this and really appreciate it for what it is more than the general public. And I feel like that's one of the other things that they didn't really take into account here. But that leads us into the third thing of why I thought the Galactic Starcruiser didn't work out so well. And that is having a lot to do and only so little time to do it. The big thing about this is that you're getting immersed into the story, like you're a character in Star Wars. It's a good idea on paper, but you only get 2 days really to do all the missions you really want to accomplish here and the story that you want to tell here. You're doing so much at a specific point. You're not really getting a whole lot of time to take a break. You're not really getting a lot of time to go do something else. Like, you can't even really go out of the hotel you're staying at, because you're supposed to be in space, and it's really hard to go out and do other things around the Walt Disney World Resort or go to another park like at Universal. And I don't know for sure if most people will allow you to go outside of the area to do that kind of stuff, but I mean, I've never seen any videos that really show people doing anything outside of the Galactic Starcruiser or even Galaxy's Edge. And I think that's another things that kind of ding it there. You don't really have a whole lot of open area to go to. And let's say you're in Disney for a weekend or so. Like, this whole thing is 2 days, and then you have that third day going on, and you don't really have a whole lot to do. You can't really go to a hotel unless you're spending that third day, spending half of your day around Orlando until your plane is ready to go. I feel like that's one of the things that kind of dings it as well, because you don't really get a whole lot of time to really do everything you want to do there. Like, you have to be a part of the story that's going on. You have to be there for specific events. And again, it's a nice idea on paper, but at the same time, you're being told to do so much here in 2 days, and like, the big difference to me, like the big difference between this and something like a Disney Cruise Line, which I've also seen videos for, is that at least on a Disney Cruise Line, you're at least getting some time to do whatever you want. You have time to go to places off the ship. You go to the islands that they have selected there. Here you don't really have that much of an option. All you pretty much have is Galaxy's Edge and then back inside the hotel, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm guessing maybe if you can still go to Hollywood Studios around there, but you have to be back by a specific time. I don't know if you have the time to go to other Disney resorts. I've never seen any videos that show anybody else really going to other Disney resorts or theme parks while they were in the Galaxy Starcruiser thing. And if anybody has done that, let me know down below, because I am curious to see if that is indeed an option. I mean, I would think maybe it's an option, but at the same time, it doesn't. The whole itinerary you have doesn't really allow that to happen. And like I said, you have so much to do. They're expecting you to come back to do another set of missions, but the pricing is going to be really the big issue here, and that does lead to what I think is the biggest reason why the Galactic Starcruiser is a massive disappointment. And like I said before, it's the pricing. So yeah, that's probably the biggest reason why this did not work, was because of the pricing. I mean, for 2 nights, that includes special activities, themed dining, and a day on Batuu at Galaxy's Edge, the starting price is $4,800 for 2 guests, and just under $6,000 for 4 guests sharing a cabin. That's a lot of money, especially when you consider that you could shell out for $200 for a one-park, one-day ticket, but if you want to stay for a number of days, take this. I'm on the Disney website right now looking at the prices for this. And let me just show you some of the prices they have here for the other resorts. All-Star Movies Resort's $224. That's the same for the Music Resort. Sports is $220. The Art of Animation Family Suite is $504. The Little Mermaid one is $265. Pop Century is $223. Caribbean Beach Resort is $339. Coronado Springs is $303. Grand Casino is $352. The Fort Wilderness Caverns are $505. Campsite's $165. Port Orleans Resort $268, $275. The Animal Kingdom Lodge, $409. Beach Club Resort, $503. Boardwalk Inn, $578. Contemporary Resort, $608. Grand Floridian, $779. Polynesian, $704. And that area, that makes sense because you're on the monorail. You're on the track of the monorail. You can go straight to the Magic Kingdom. That makes sense to have prices that high. Galaxy's Edge, $6,000 for 4 people to share a cabin for a 2-night experience is massive. It's a massive amount of money, and it's just like you really need to be very, very rich to even consider this, or save your whole life savings for that. Let me see here. I'm trying to see what a 3-day pass would be for Walt Disney World. 4-day pass is $99. Let me see, 3-day pass. I know this is dead air, but I'm trying to give you kind of an idea of what to expect is what I'm talking about here. Yeah, 1 to 10 days is 1-day tickets are $109. So for 3 days, it's about $327 per day. That's still cheaper than doing this. Like, this is just like. And if you see some of these videos, you see like Ferraris in the waiting area to be checked in. Like, these are very, very expensive areas to go. This is a very expensive area to go to, and it's only secluded to 100 rooms. And I mean, again, good idea on paper, but a botched delivery, especially when you consider those prices. And I really think those prices are like that because they're opening up after the COVID pandemic took away a lot of their profits. Disney's got to make up some money somehow, but this is not the way to do it. I mean, this is something that's just like $6,000 for a 2-day experience like that is ridiculously high. And I mean, like, let me put it this way. The Golden Oak Resort area, where you can buy a property on Disney, it's over $1 million. Well, it started off at $1 million. I think it's now approximately between $1.5 and $8 million now to live at the Golden Oak Mansions. But that makes more sense because you're at least staying on Disney property for the long term. Like, that's a place you buy, and I could definitely see a lot of those people that live there going to this place. But at the same time, nobody really can afford that huge amount of money. That's a huge, huge risk to take on that front, and that makes it, this living at Golden Oak makes a whole lot of sense than going to this for a 2-day experience for $6,000, if you have the money to do it, I should say. Hey, but the pricing really was the sticking factor here of why this really didn't work out. And it's a shame, too, because, like I said, I've seen the videos for this place. I never got a chance to actually go see it. When I went down to Orlando last November, we actually drove past the hotel building for it. We didn't get to see the building itself because it's supposed to be secluded. It's a really cool concept, too. Like, you have this hotel secluded. You're not really supposed to see it, but you see like, the entrance to the Galactic Starcruiser when you get in. And you go past security and all that. And from the stuff I've seen from it, it looks really cool. It's a really cool, immersive experience that really could have worked. But I really think that those elements I was talking about really hurt it in the end. I really think that this was something that was more of an experiment than an actual, this is the future. Like, I think this was an idea that they said, let's test this out and let's see what happens. And then COVID happened, and then they raised the prices and all that. And because of that, that's really what ended up hurting it in the end, was the huge prices that they had for it. And I mean, there are some cool things about it. Like I said, like you go there, you can actually see real life lifesavers being used. There's new technology that they use to integrate physical, digital, and live entertainment elements into the story. The idea of having the guest and cast members interact in the story and play, it's a really cool idea, and you really could make it work. But this was just an idea that was just, it was too big enough. It was too big to fail, really. Like, it was really one of those things that it was just like, you have a good idea here, but just everything just didn't come together the way you wanted it to, and now it's not going to be used anymore. Like, it's a shame that this is not going to be fully utilized, and this building that really is a cool idea is just going to be just abandoned now, which, excuse me, I hope that's not the case, because really, like I said, there is a lot you can do with this idea, and hopefully they can use that for the future, whatever projects they have coming up in the future. And it's a shame that that building's not going to be used as much for anything except maybe for storage or something like that. If I was running Disney, I'd just rebuild over that area. Like, I'd probably put something that would make a whole lot more, would make more sense. Like, you could maybe do like a Star Wars mall, kind of, like have areas where you can like you can go check out stores, check out little areas where you could have activities and all that kind of stuff, and have that little atrium be kind of like have that little atrium where you could have like stories going on, and like have like, that's just my personal take on it here. But so, who knows? Some people might actually use it for a Spirit Halloween store, which just explains the picture. When I first heard about that news, I just knew I had to make that picture there of the Spirit Halloween store taking over the Galactic Starcruiser. I mean, it's ridiculous, and that would never happen. But I think the idea maybe of a Star Wars mall, kind of, if I was running Disney, I'd probably use that area to fix that. I highly doubt that's ever going to happen, but just an idea to toss around. Just like my idea for the Bob's Burgers restaurant at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which, come on, Disney, you have the rights to Bob's Burgers now. You can put a building right in Grand Avenue. I mean, just saying, if you want to see that, go check out my site. And I have details on how you can make that work, but that's beside the point. But bottom line here, final thoughts on this whole thing. Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, it's a really cool looking building from the stuff I've seen. I haven't been able to go to the thing. I probably won't be able to because of how expensive it is. But that really, I think, was the reason why this place shut down. They just wanted way too much money for this. You don't really have a whole lot to do. I mean, you have a lot to do, but you don't have a whole lot of time to really do it in just 2 days. That's really hard to do all that in a span of just 48 hours. I mean, that's just way too much to ask for. And I think there was just stuff there that little kids, like kids under the age of 5, really would not be able to enjoy. And I think you're going to get the most enjoyment out of it if you are a huge fan of Star Wars, which I'm a fan of Star Wars, but I'm not big enough of a fan to really appreciate everything that's going on in this building. And it isn't like there isn't cool Star Wars stuff in Disney World. I mean, Galaxy's Edge is amazing. If you ever go there, it's worth it. Like, it's worth going on Rise of the Resistance. It's worth going on Smuggler's Run. It's worth going in there to see the Millennium Falcon front and center. Like, I think they are making progress with bringing Star Wars into the Disney parks, and that's a really good example of how to utilize that. And I really think this idea that they had for Galactic Starcruiser will eventually become the norm once they work out the kinks for it. I think this was, like I said, a test to see what really could happen. once you go, we'll see how this pans out. If it doesn't work out, we'll just go back to the drawing board and start again. And it's going to cost them a lot of money. I mean, they're already losing a lot of money, not just because of this, but they also shut down that Lake Nova campus they were also going to build. They were going to move a lot of people from California to Florida, but now that project's completely scrapped. So that's over $1 billion they lost on that front there. And yeah, so they're going to make mistakes, but you learn. But you know what? You learn from your mistakes. You learn from your mistakes, and you build on them. You work out the kinks, and you work this out to something incredible, which in the future, which I think they will do. I think there is a lot of potential with what Galactic Starcruiser was trying to do. I just don't think everything worked for it, and the timing I think really dinged them in the end because they were probably forced to bump up the prices to get their money back on track after the pandemic. So, I mean, it would have been cool if this really succeeded, but unfortunately, there was just too much there that was gonna hurt it in the end. If you want to go check it out, it's there until the end of September 2023. I think the people that went there, and I think the videos that I've seen for it, really show that there was a lot there that really worked, but then there were also things that really didn't work, and it's a shame that it really didn't because like I said, the ideas are there, just the execution just wasn't really working in their favor. So let me know your thoughts down below on what you think of this. What did you think of? If you've ever been to the Galactic Starcruiser, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think this could work for other things like other hotels or theme park experiences? Let me know down below. And if you like this, check out some of these other posts that I've done before for this. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And I will see you guys next time for another video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, take care.